All right, short field landings. Okay, we're going to talk about this on the board again, then we're going to go out and watch Peter execute that maneuver out on the runway. So first things first, you have to know how to configure the aircraft and you have to be able to execute that maneuver, okay? So look in your POH, look in your flight manual, know exactly how to configure the airplane, what flap setting and what speed you have to execute that maneuver, okay? So first things first, we have a short runway, okay? This depends on what type of aircraft. Maybe I'm flying a Cessna 172 and I got a 2,000 foot strip. That's relatively short for me because I'm used to landing here at Gainesville with a 6,000 foot runway. Maybe I'm flying a Learjet. I got a 6,000 foot runway. That's going to be a short field for me because I'm used to landing at 9 or 10,000 foot runways, okay? So it all depends on the type of aircraft and what field you're landing at, okay? So how do we execute this maneuver in our 172? The POH says to come in with full flaps, so it's 40 degrees flap setting and approach speed at 65 miles an hour, okay? Now, it's not real important to have 65 miles an hour approach speed all the way out on final, maybe you're a mile and a half final. You know, fly whatever speed, just make sure that when you're a half mile final, you're at your full flap configuration and you're at 65 miles an hour and you're coming in, okay? Why do we come in at 65 miles an hour? Okay, well, first off, if I come in faster, 75, 85, 90 miles an hour, then my ground roll is going to be longer, so I'm going to use more runway length, okay? So maybe that's the end of the runway. I'm going to run a higher chance of running off the end of the runway. If I come in at a slower speed, that's getting you really close to stall speed, and we don't want that, okay? So typically, stall speed, you multiply that by 1.3 to get your approach speed, okay? All right, so how do we execute this maneuver? We're coming in full flaps, 65 miles an hour. Aim point is critical. We're aiming for the beginning of the runway. I want to land, preferably the first 100 to 200 foot of the runway. If I can get the airplane there, then I can slow down and stop. If I don't aim for that and I aim for further down the runway and around out here, then I'm going to use more of that runway. And like I said, you run a higher risk of running off the end of the runway. Now, this isn't just private pilot stuff, guys. This is, commercial aviation. You see a lot of big jets sliding off the end of the runways, going into rivers and, whatnot. So we just had that happen last month in Florida. Boeing 737, you don't know all the circumstances, but there's something that caused that aircraft to go off the end of the runway. So use all your available runway, because once you get on the ground, then you still have to slow down the aircraft. So how you want to do this? Full flap, 65 miles an hour, aiming for the first little bit of the runway, because remember, when you round out over that spot, you're still going to float just a little bit and then touch down. And once you touch down, then you want to ease on the brakes and slow down to a full stop, okay? Another type of way to execute this maneuver is once you start getting on the ground, start retracting your flaps, because what flaps do, that increase lift, okay? That keeps the weight off the tires. If you reduce your flaps, then that increases more weight on the tires and that gives you more stopping power, so you're not going to be like, flat spotting tires and whatnot. So you'll be able to kind of increase your braking capability and stop at a shorter distance, okay? So let's go outside. We're going to check this out, watch Peter execute that short field landing.